Are you looking for a New England ski weekend getaway? Are you potentially looking at buying a second home or investment property in the picturesque White Mountains of New Hampshire? I recently took my family up there for a ski weekend getaway and we had an unbelievable time. It is absolutely gorgeous up there. And while I was there, I saw some incredible second home investment property real estate opportunities that I would like to share with you. I saw a lot of them, but I'm going to highlight three, talk to you a little bit about the financing of those, and hang on to the very end because I'm going to share with you a pro tip on how you can buy second homes with as little as 10% down. When people are considering ski weekend getaways in New England, they typically think northern Maine, northern Vermont, maybe even Canada up in Montreal. But actually, we chose the Bretton Woods area of the White Mountains. And we chose this area because it was during the holiday season, and our kids are 9, 7, and 6, and they are just in the midst of all things Christmas. So we wanted to give them an incredible Christmas experience, holiday season experience, and that area, they do a phenomenal job with it, which I'll share with you in a minute. But while I was up there, I got an incredible education on real estate and some of the amazing opportunities that the Bretton Woods area has. My family lives in Massachusetts, and we actually own a second home in southern Maine, which is about 2 hours from our home in Massachusetts. We decided to pull the kids early on Thursday from school to get a jump start on our vacation. So we shot up to Maine, spent the night there Thursday, and then woke up there on Friday to continue the second leg of our trip. One of the highlights of this trip, and I think you'll find coming from really anywhere into New England going up to the White Mountains, is the amazing ride that you're going to take to get to Bretton Woods. From our place in Maine, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just the entire way you're taking windy roads along rivers and lakes, and you're just mountains on all sides of you. But eventually, if you go the way that we went, you're going to run into North Conway. And even if you're going to Bretton Woods, I highly recommend at some point going to North Conway. You can spend an entire weekend having a blast in North Conway, skiing Mount Cranmore. They have indoor water parks, incredible shopping. So spend a week in North Conway, but we actually drove right through it. And eventually you are then going to hit the White Mountain National Forest in Crawford Notch. Crawford Notch has some of the best scenery in America, in my opinion, but definitely in the White Mountains. It is an absolute hiker's paradise. It's so beautiful that my kids even put their iPads down for 5 minutes to soak it all in. Once through Crawford Notch, it wasn't much further till we hit our first destination, which is Bretton Woods Ski Resort. Our room wasn't going to be ready until about 3 o'clock anyway, so we decided to kill the day tearing up the slopes of Bretton Woods. Bretton Woods is a true gem in New England, definitely in New Hampshire. It has been operational for 50 years and was recently rated best overall in the East for snow and grooming, and #1 in New Hampshire by Ski Magazine. With over 60 trails and 10 lifts, there's something for skiers of all abilities, which is awesome because I have 3 beginner skiers and a very cautious wife. So we decided to start off with the beginner trails before my kids saw the gondola, and that was it. We ended up taking the gondola pretty much the rest of the day. In fact, I think my kids enjoyed riding the gondola more than they did skiing this incredible mountain. One of the coolest parts about Bretton Woods that you have to check out is the Rosebrook Lodge located at the top of the Bretton Woods Skyway gondola. This building itself is absolutely magnificent. You have to check it out, but it pales in comparison to the views and the experience that you're going to have while you're up there. On a clear day, you could see the entire White Mountains. You could see the Mount Washington itself. And if you are lucky enough, which we were, to be staying at the Mount Washington Hotel, you have an incredible view of the hotel from this vantage point. While we were up there, the kids were taking in the views. A nice stranger came along and took a family picture. We did that for a few minutes, taking it all in. Kids started to get a little hangry. So we ended up taking them to the Switchback Grill, which is located inside the Rosebrook Lodge, where my kids had the best peanut butter jelly I think they've ever had in their lives. My wife and I enjoyed an incredible lunch while we watched our kids making new friends in the amazing open fireplace located in the Switchback Grill. We spent the rest of the day skiing and playing and enjoying everything that Bretton Woods has to offer. But while skiing and having a good time, I couldn't help but notice some of the amazing real estate opportunities that are located on the mountain. The first place that I want to share with you is Forest Cottage Townhouse Community, which sits at the base of the ski mountain. At the time of our trip, 55 Forest Lane, Unit 41 was for sale, just under $1,215,000. This large open concept end unit has 5 bedrooms and 4.5 baths, but can likely sleep double that when you factor in all the bunk bed and pull-out couch opportunities. If you purchase this property for $1,215,000, and put 20% down at a 7.5% rate, your principal and interest payment would be $6,796. And if you factor in taxes and homeowners association fees, your all-in payment would be somewhere around $8,000 a month for this amazing unit. If rates were at 7%, that payment would drop to about $7,675. And if rates were at 6.5%, that payment would drop to $7,319 a month. Those numbers may sound steep, but at the time of this video, similar units were renting for around $1,000 a night on all the major vacation websites, and were pretty much booked through the entire ski season. Plus, most of these units have 5 bedrooms and can actually sleep double that, making it very affordable for multiple families to enjoy some time together renting. The Bretton Woods ski area is obviously popular in the winter, but it's very popular in all seasons because there is so much to do in fall, spring, and summer as well. There's a very good chance these units are going to be rented the entire year. Once our amazing day on the mountain had concluded, we shot over to our hotel for a quick check-in and a change, and we were off to our first excursion, which is the Polar Express out of Lincoln. My kids are at the perfect age right now where they're just full of holiday spirit, so we wanted them to experience the Polar Express, which they absolutely enjoyed. The Polar Express is only about a 30-minute picturesque ride from our hotel. Once we were there, we boarded the Hobo Railroad, where some of Santa's helpers gave out snacks and gifts, and one of the things that they got to do was fill out a Christmas wish list to Santa, which they actually got to drop off when they got to the North Pole. Once we were there, we dropped our letter off, and we got to walk up this incredibly decorated pathway to Santa's workshop, where all of Santa's helpers were singing songs and handing out toys and things for the kids, and every kid got a chance to meet the big man himself. So once that was over, we jumped back on the railroad, back to our car, and headed home, back to our amazing hotel, which is one of the most incredible parts of this entire trip. To me, one of the highlights of this trip was where we stayed, the hotel we stayed in. We stayed in the Omni Resort, which is nothing short of spectacular. You stay at this place, you feel like you're staying in one of the most luxurious hotels in Switzerland, but you're just 3 hours north of Boston. The Omni Mount Washington is in Bretton Woods. Bretton Woods is part of a land grant made in 1772 by Royal Governor John Wentworth. The area was named after Bretton Hall, Wentworth's ancestral home in Yorkshire, England. The superstructure of the Mount Washington Hotel boasted a steel network uncommon in its day. The Mount Washington Hotel was built by New Hampshire native Joseph Stickney, who made his fortune in coal mining and in the Pennsylvania Railroad. Ground was broken in 1900, and construction was completed in 1902. 250 Italian craftsmen skilled in masonry and woodworking were brought to Bretton Woods and housed on the grounds. A new type of power plant served reliably for over 50 years. Imported china, hand-colored postcards and playing cards, and a 1917 travel guide showed genteel mementos of elegant legacy. To me, the Mount Washington Hotel seems what it would have been like to stay on the Titanic. This hotel has not lost the elegance and charm that it was created in the early 1900s. There's large sprawling staircases, huge fireplaces, and plenty of couches everywhere for family and friends to gather and play board games. In fact, my family sat down for a little boys versus girls family Scrabble, which did not go well for the ladies of the family, which is saying something because they are very smart, and one of my sons can't read or spell yet. But I digress. On Saturday, we get up and headed down to the original main dining hall of the Mount Washington Hotel to enjoy their incredible Saturday morning buffet. The kids sipped orange juice out of wine glasses while mom and dad really took advantage of the buffet. Tried their cinnamon buns, by the way, while we planned out the day's events. After breakfast, my wife took the kids to a gingerbread making event, which is incredible for them. I am not big on building, baking, or gingerbread for that matter, so I decided to go for a hike around the property and got lost almost immediately. The place is humongous. So at that point, I actually stumbled on the second property that I want to feature with you, which is a townhouse located in the Mount Washington Place community. This property is 467 Hannah Loop, located in the Stonehill subdivision. This expansive open-end unit has 5 beds and 4 baths and 3.5 baths with views of the Notch. At the time of this video, This unit was for sale for $785,000. Purchasing this property with 20% down at a 7.5% rate, your principal and interest would be $4,363, and if you factor in $674 for taxes and a modest $340 for homeowner association fees, your total monthly payment would be $5,377. If the rates were 7%, the total payment would be $5,167, and if the interest rates were 6.5%, that payment would be $4,957. Right now on VRBO, similar units are renting for $900 a night, which means this property is an excellent investment considering its price, location, and ability to sleep many people and families. After a generous neighbor found me and pointed me back in the right direction of the hotel, I found my family wrapping up the gingerbread making event. They had an unbelievable time. We actually had a few hours to kill, so I mentioned to my kids the Cog Railway. When I was younger, my father took me on the Cog Railway, which is a railroad that goes up the side of Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in the Northeast. Well, my boys jumped all over this, and my wife and daughter decided to have a little mother bonding time in the spa. Everybody wins. The boys and I quickly jumped in the truck and we headed off to the Cog Railway. Cog Railway is only about 15 minutes from the Mount Washington Hotel and actually sits at the base of the actual Mount Washington. Once we were there, we were politely greeted by more of Santa's helpers who kindly escorted us to the Cog Railway. The train is only one car that climbs to a camp called Wambach Station at about 4,000 feet. The train actually ascends at such a steep incline that you can comfortably stand up, but you stand at such an incline that you can almost reach out and touch the floor. My boys had an unbelievable time experimenting with this for about the half an hour that it took to get to Wambach Station. Once we were at Wambach Station, we were greeted by workers who offered us hot chocolate and s'mores and showed us to the open campfire that they had made at Wambach Station. My boys explored the station while I soaked up the incredible views of the Mount Washington Hotel in the distance and Bretton Woods ski area from 4,000 feet. Once back down the mountain, satisfied with our excursion choice, we jumped back in the car and took the short trip back to the hotel. On the way back to our hotel from the Cog Railway, I passed an amazing townhouse community that I want to share with you called Mount Madison. Mount Madison is just minutes from the Mount Washington, Bretton Woods ski area, and the Mount Washington Hotel. At the time of this video, 10 Mount Madison Lane Unit 8 was for sale for $1,775,000. This unit is absolutely amazing because it faces the presidential mountain range with Mount Washington front and center. The listing describes it perfectly by stating that this home offers the perfect blend of luxury and natural beauty. This unit is more expensive due to its size, quality, and unmatched views, but is also a very large unit, over 4,000 square feet, with 5 beds and 4 baths. If you purchase this property and put 20% down at a rate of 7.5%, the principal and interest payment would be $9,867 a month. When you factor in taxes of $1,373 a month and homeowner association fees of $1,200 a month, your mortgage payment would be roughly $12,444 a month. If mortgage rates were 7%, the payment would be about $12,000, and if the rates were 6.5%, the payment would be around $11,500. Once back at the hotel, my kids begged me to take them to the incredible outdoor swimming pool, while I was more or less used as a diving board for the next 45 minutes. I've been to swimming pools all over the world, but there's something magical about swimming outside in front of the snow-covered presidential range behind you. We had an amazing time swimming in the pool. Kids worked up a pretty big appetite, so we took them to Stickney's restaurant, located at the Mount Washington Hotel, which was named after the gentleman who built the hotel in 1900. Right next to Stickney's restaurant is one of my favorite features of the Mount Washington Hotel, and that is the Cave Bar. The Cave Bar was an original speakeasy back in the early 1900s, and the hotel has done an amazing job keeping the original feel of the speakeasy while providing a current day experience. You gotta check it out. We had an amazing time up at Bretton Woods in the Mount Washington Hotel, but I was really surprised by all the real estate opportunities up there. It's clear that these are second homes and investment properties for the most part, but that they're great investments given the popularity of the area. And I expect incredible rental income cash flow from these properties. Now keep in mind that you can purchase a second home on a conventional mortgage with as little as 10% down, and jumbo loans like the ones we showed you here today for the most part require 20% down. Now my pro tip is that because homes have increased in value so much so fast over the last couple of years, consider using the equity in your primary residence to pull out and put as a down payment for your second home. Remember, you can do this on a home equity loan, home equity line of credit, or a cash out refinance on your primary residence. Please do me a favor and tap that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. And if you have any second home or investment property questions, please shoot me a message. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. Thanks for watching.